Hello, welcome to your soul note for the total full moon lunar eclipse on July 27th. So this is a powerhouse, and eclipses are always about shifts and changes in patterns and cycles. So this is a strong harbinger of something being completed, finalized, released, hopefully some emotional release with eclipses. They're very emotional in nature, full moons, subjective about your personal life, your emotional life, whereas solar eclipses are more outwardly focused. And this is a complicated eclipse, the most of the year. I would encourage everyone to create some space in their day to rest, to process, because it may be hard to see the way forward in the moment. But please rest assured that there are new energy cycles that are being born that will transport you into the weeks and months ahead. So first things first, on Tuesday the 24th, through about Thursday, the 26th of July, we've got an interesting configuration with the sun. And the sun is simultaneously squaring Uranus and trining Chiron. And the sun is the integration factor. The second of the Mars square will be occurring as we head into August. So the sun making these very same configurations help to give integrative energy, overview, insight as we move forward with this thing called linear time. So the sun squaring Uranus, which would be Leo to Taurus in the fixed signs. And fixed signs is showing us some area in our lives where we're entrenched or embedded in a belief or an idea that may be due for some disruption, shifts, changes, perhaps some jarring events. But the sun's trine to Chiron in Aries is suggesting in the fire sign that there's healing and there's actually growth and development with one's identity through this passage, although it may be tricky to really have a sense of that in the moment. So Tuesday through the 26th, from 2 degrees of Leo, where the sun is, the sun will be squaring Uranus, the awakener, and trining Chiron, the healer, and the wise ascension planet. And Venus is also opposing Neptune during this very time, which again is confusing your perception of things. And this has to do with your daily living, your physicality, and being aware of your spiritual body and emotional body, Neptune in Pisces. So this can be bringing awareness, but this can also be bringing some confusion. This is not a high energy week in some ways, although things will be happening. And Mercury is already slowing down for its retrograde on the 26th. So the divine universe is kind of saying, hold on, take it easy, be with this passage, hold your energies, self-love, tenderness is very important for this passage. On Wednesday the 25th, we head into the Mercury storm period, when Mercury, which deals with the day-to-day rhythm of things and interactions and communications, is literally stopping from our perspective in the sky, because it will station retrograde on Thursday the 26th, but we'll feel it strongly the 25th through the 27th. So I can't encourage you enough to go slower, to stay grounded, to double check things, to be sure that communications being sent and received are understood. Because of the emotional nature and the trickster energy of Mercury, it will be a high time for misunderstandings and lost emails and the internet timing out on you and that kind of thing. So just knowing that ahead of time, you can take those steps and be that loving agent on behalf of self to take it easy. So Mercury retrogrades on Thursday the 26th at 23 degrees of Leo. And Mercury will be retrograde until August 19th. And certainly this is speaking to your heart and changes, some of them expected, some of them unexpected. The left brain needs a break, and we need a break more than ever from thinking that we can think our way through things rationally and intellectually when we're being inundated with stimulation and information 24/7. So the more quiet you can be. Mercury retrogrades are really valuable to slow things down. Things quiet down a little bit on the external realm to give you some space to process. And I'll tell you, I do most of my creative problem solving when it's quiet and mellow. Not when I'm trying to think my way through things, but when I'm out walking or sitting under the tree, it's like, oh, I just need to do this, just make this adjustment. And sometimes things that we think are problems really aren't problems. So Mercury retrograde is great for that. And Mercury retrograding in Leo, which is all about that inner child, the heart, and doing things that are happy and joyful and creative. You need that. We all need that. We need beauty and music and enjoyment to tend to our vibrational energy waves. It's a necessity. Like an artist I was speaking, he said, I'm just an artist. I'm like, are you kidding me? If we didn't have art and music on the planet, we need that. It's literally food and nourishment for our emotional bodies and our sensitive psychic energies. And it's good for our mind. So Mercury retrogrades Thursday the 26th at 1:02 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And then the Sun is heading into its opposition in Mars, because we've got tight conjunctions and oppositions to these nodal energies. And the North Node is about Dharma, the South Node is about karma and clearing karma, and this is a strong energy signature with this eclipse. So the Sun is opposing Mars Thursday through Friday, so we can see how we may be being set up to be triggered. And for release, too. And the Sun can be awareness about some of our detachment. Mars retrograding in Aquarius can be very detached. And you can see this with some people who are just offhandedly suggesting these horrendous things, who obviously aren't in touch with their heart, right? And their heart isn't open. And on the planet today, all of this rigid ideological alignment with some groups, black and white, is part of the karma that's moving through the planet. The North Node in Leo is about making creative choices, which are high vibrational choices. We're either being creative or destructive, really, essentially. And when we're being destructive externally, the question is always, how are we not loving ourselves enough, right? When you need to take a swipe at someone, and this has been the era of that, the outrage era. And I speak to this because I know people who have been on YouTube who aren't on YouTube because they can't take some of the outrage, you know. I'm like, I can handle the trolls and the disruptors, and so that's been a strengthening area that people, and I can always tell when eclipses or Pluto transits by some of the comments that people leave me. I'm like, They have no idea how much they're showing their own woundedness, and that's why I just ignore it. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry that you're in that space, or you're being really emotionally triggered, and I'm on the receiving end of that. That's okay. I can take it. I'm strong. But we'll be seeing this playing out probably en masse. So be aware of that. But at the same time, the sun is conjunct that north node of integration and healing and heart and creativity. While Mars is kind of the sun without a brain. It would be like the unconscious soldier, right? Without anyone leading it. It's just angry and reacting. So the Mars retrograde is conjunct that south node of Dharma. So this is the opposition we're dealing with this eclipse, and you'll be able to see the polarity and the duality of this passage. So because Mars serves the sun, but Mars unconnected to the heart is reaction, inflexibility, being triggered, and we see and read things out there that are unbelievable. Some of the horrible, harsh, unhealed messaging. But that's not your reality. So you just see that, okay, I see who this person is, or their unhealedness and their woundedness. And, you can send them a little light if you want to, and pat them on the head and give them a hug and wish them well and hope that they're feeling better about themselves. So this is the planet that we're on, is these large energy waves are bringing ascension and higher waves of creativity. And where it's working through the fear hologram, it's going deeper and heavier and darker. So this is really going to be magnetized through this passage. Venus is also trining Pluto, Thursday and Friday. And Venus is talking about the wisdom and intensity of the heart and emotions and relationship. And Thursday through Saturday, Venus is kind of holding and hugging Pluto. And this can be a deeply positive time for relating dynamics, for your relationship with finances, for your relationship with resources. And then Friday on the 27th is the total full moon lunar eclipse, which is exact at 4:22 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on Friday the 27th. But the eclipse itself begins at 1:15 p.m. and lasts through 7:29 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. So this is quite a long eclipse period. And it isn't visible from the United States. It's visible from Australia, from Asia, from Africa, from Europe, parts of South America. And eclipse is saying our emotions are overriding our integrated awareness. So tend to your emotions. Listen to music, be in nature. Take good care of yourself vibrationally, because something is finishing up or coming to a strong level of clearing, completion at 4 degrees of Aquarius. And this also has to do with business and power structures and vocation and authority figures too. So there can be changes with roles in authority figures on either side of this eclipse. And eclipses can take us months into. It's hard to break it down to linear time because the divine universe doesn't always work in linear time, but ideally this is a clearing and releasing. So this full moon total lunar eclipse, Friday the 27th at 4:22 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time at 4 degrees Aquarius, is conjunct that retrograde Mars and that south node. So it's really highlighting the density and the inflexibility that we are carrying in our own life in some way. Look at where that is in your chart. Where have I been feeling detached, inflexible, angry, and irritated? And that's the area to kind of lovingly meditate upon or bless, release, let it down into Mother Earth and let it go, because we can't see. We can't see everything, but it's very much a time of moving through this feeling nature, instinctual nature, and anything that feels righteous and inflexible and triggered are the areas for release and healing. Okay. Much love to you. And I want to invite you to Patreon, where I'm doing a lot of extra video content on things that that are fun and educational and human developmentally supportive. So you can take a look at that. And of course, sessions with me are much more specific, but be well and much love to you. Hello, welcome to your soul note for the total full moon lunar eclipse on July 27th. So this is a powerhouse, and eclipses are always about shifts and changes in patterns and cycles. So this is a strong harbinger of something being completed, finalized, released, hopefully some emotional release with eclipses. They're very emotional in nature, full moons, subjective about your personal life, your emotional life, whereas solar eclipses are more outwardly focused. And this is a complicated eclipse, the most of the year. I would encourage everyone to create some space in their day to rest, to process, because it may be hard to see the way forward in the moment. But please rest assured that there are new energy cycles that are being born that will transport you into the weeks and months ahead. So first things first, on Tuesday the 24th, through about Thursday, the 26th of